Hey everyone, I'm excited to show you what I've got here. These 1,000 books were just delivered, and they are copies of our special bicentennial edition of the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, an American slave, hot off the presses. And these 1,000 copies are going to be delivered to young people in Southern California starting in a couple of weeks at the National Youth Leadership Council Conference at Disneyland in Anaheim. Robert Benz, who's one of the co-founders of our organization, and I will be speaking at that conference and then passing out 500 of these books to the young people that will be in attendance. So I want to let you take a look at what we've got here. We're really proud of the way this book turned out and how it came together. And as you can see, it's a beautiful hardcover edition of the narrative, and it's very special and meaningful in many ways, starting with the cover, which is a pencil drawing that was done by my great-grandfather Joseph Douglass, who was Frederick Douglass's grandson. And we know Frederick taught himself to do a couple of things. He taught himself to read and to write, but many of you may not know that he also taught himself to play the violin. And he was also a great teacher because he taught Joseph how to play, and Joseph became a concert violinist, playing in the White House a few times, and he was the first black classical recording artist for the Victor Talking Machine Company. And as you can see, he was a very talented artist all the way around, because this image looks like a photograph, but it's not. It's a pencil drawing of his grandfather, Frederick. So let's take a look inside here so you can see what we've got. This is an old map of Talbot County on the eastern shore of Maryland, which is where Frederick was born into slavery. And on the flap, we've got some blurbs from some students just talking about how much the narrative and Frederick Douglass's life and legacy have impacted them and inspired them to become leaders in their school and in their communities. This was a book that was edited by Robert Benz, and he did a wonderful job in pulling all this together and starting with this special bicentennial page and dedication page to the legacy and spirit of our great ancestor Frederick Douglass, and a place for my mom, Nettie Washington Douglass, to sign it and for me to sign it. And so we kick off right away with an editor's notes. And this book is we've made it available and accessible to young readers between 12 and 18 years old. So all of the pieces that we've added to the original narrative, which, by the way, the original narrative appears as it would have appeared in 1845, with a introduction from William Lloyd Garrison and a letter from Wendell Phillips. None of that has changed, but we've added some pieces to it. I've written a foreword entitled From a Family's Perspective, and I talk about history and how important history is and knowing where we've come from. And then the section that I really like the most is what the narrative means to me. And we have young people that have written blurbs about how much this book has impacted their lives, and also people of prominence like Governor Martin O'Malley, a former governor of Maryland, who wrote a beautiful piece. Then the introduction was written by Brian Stevenson, who is the founder and CEO of the Equal Justice Initiative out of Montgomery, Alabama. And he wrote a powerful introduction that really talks about what Frederick would have been up against when he wrote the narrative at the age of 27 in 1845 and looking to dismantle this legal institution of slavery. And then he draws a direct line all the way to mass incarceration today, and talking about that legal institution of slavery and how young people can really be inspired by Frederick Douglass's words to work on these social issues in their communities that they're most passionate about. And then the last piece are the photographs. And my mom has captioned these, and she talks about growing up around these images and what they meant to her as a little girl and also as an adult. And so there are a number of family photographs in here that I know readers would really be inspired by seeing, including this picture of my mom as a little girl with Josephine Baker and her mother, my grandmother, Nettie Hancock Washington. So this edition costs us about $4 per copy to be able to deliver to young people. And the project is called 1 Million Abolitionists. And we want to put this book into the hands of 1 million young people around the country by the end of the bicentennial year, which happens in 2018. So if you're interested in supporting this work and helping to fund one book, 10 books, 40 books, 50 books, 100 books, we would certainly appreciate it. And you can go to our fundraising page, which is fdfi.org. That's the acronym for Frederick Douglass Family Initiatives. So again, that's fdfi.org/fund, F-U-N-D. And we would greatly appreciate any support that you can provide for this really important initiative, which is going to help transform the lives of our kids everywhere. Frederick Douglass said it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And this project goes a long way to building strong children. So thank you for your support, and thanks for watching.